Here's how to make quarantine a win. This is a topic that has come up a lot recently where people get COVID and all of a sudden they have to quarantine, and the amount of emotion that people have around feeling lonely and powerless and anxious and scared, and it's can be really overwhelming. And what I want for all of us is that we can look back at that quarantine and say, you know what, I actually used my quarantine time and I'm actually stronger emotionally because of it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a 5-day program, and I realize that depending with where you're at, the regulations are going to be different. Some people have 5-day quarantine, some people have 10 days, but I'm going to give you a 5-day program. Every day is going to have a theme to it. And what's really important about this is that every one of those themes are going to have action steps, things that you can control. And this is really important because when things have been taken away from us, when our control has been taken away, that's when emotionally we can kind of really feel out of sorts. And so it's really important that we put the control back in your lap to help you feel emotionally and mentally stronger. Okay, so here we go. Day number one is I want you to acknowledge your emotions. And this is really important because when people are in quarantine, they're going to have, again, lonely, frustrated, exhausted, scared, feeling isolated. It's really important for your emotions, your feelings, that you get it out. You don't want those feelings to stay inside, because if you push them down, they're going to try to come out in different ways. It might come out in dreams. It might come out in terms of more aggressive behavior in terms of talking to other people. So it's really important that your feelings that you have about COVID, that you get it out. So how can you get it out in a healthy way? I'm a big fan of journaling. So get yourself a pen and paper, do it in your computer, and just simply acknowledge your feelings about having COVID. Okay? Just make that your goal number one, your day number one. There is no right and wrong feelings. These are just simply your feelings, and this is very important because this is your first assignment on day number one. Day number two is self-care. And now what you're going to do is you're going to focus on your day number two of just pampering yourself. Think about what could you do that's just a little bit, you're just going to pamper yourself. So do you just want to watch some great movies, stay in your pajamas, have a cup of tea, have a bath, call a friend that you really care about, read a book that is nothing productive, just pure enjoyment for yourself. What do you want to do to just really take care of yourself? Go for a walk if you're able to, depending with where you're at. So day number two is just pamper yourself, and it's all about self-care. So make a list of different things that you can do to really just kind of nurture and pamper yourself. I've had clients where they've just bought a whole bunch of ebooks that they can do, or watching movies. So that's kind of day two. Okay, so day two is self-care. Day three is gratitude. Go back to that journal, go back to that computer of yours, and I want you to write down everything that you can be grateful for. This is not toxic positivity. We've already acknowledged feelings. This is, it's interesting how toxic positivity has kind of emerged in our culture, and it's an important topic. I actually am glad that's actually come up, but we also want to be really focused on gratitude as well. So we want to acknowledge feelings, and we also want to acknowledge what we can be grateful for. So again, go back to that journal and write down all the things that you can be grateful for yourself, for your health, for your family, for where you live, for your friends. Just be as specific as you possibly can about things that you can be grateful for. And I'd be coming up with a list anywhere from about 20 to 50 things. You got a whole day for it, okay? So you got some time. Write them all down. And what you're doing is you're training yourself to also, it's like you've acknowledged the feelings, but you're also acknowledging things to be grateful for. So that is day number three, is gratitude. Day number four is goal setting. So now what I want you to do is focus on this next year of what are the things that you would like to do that are realistic and stretching for you. Look at maybe a few different categories, whether it is, your personal development, whether it's exercise and fitness, whether it is, professional development, education, financial. In my book, The 3 Chairs, I talk about what I call the 6 P's of engagement, 6 different ways of actually how you can actually break down goal setting. And I've come up with maybe a list of, let's say, 10 goals this year, and make them really realistic. Okay, make them really realistic. One of the big mistakes a lot of times people do is they make goals like too big, and then people feel kind of overwhelmed and they don't do anything with it. So make the goals stretching but realistic. And this is going to kind of create a bit of a roadmap for you this next year. And again, what's very important with this step is that it's giving you your power back. So when we are in quarantine, our power feels like it's been taken away, and all these things that I'm getting you to do are things that are putting the power back in your lap, which is very important. So have some reflection around this. What do you want to do? What are things that you want to do? Write them down. You've got the time. Use your time well. Okay, so that's going to be day number 4 is goal setting. And day number 5 is take action. So look over your list of different goals that you actually have, and what's one thing you could do on day 5 to start taking action from your goal setting. So for example, if one of your goals is to start decluttering your house, and you have to, you're obviously in your house, is there a part of your house on that 5th day you could actually start taking action? Do you start tackling your clothes and decluttering? Do you start kind of going through all the papers in your desk? Do you kind of clean out your kitchen? Or maybe one of your goals is in terms of exercising. So maybe the taking action on that 5th day is looking up some videos online in terms of exercising or toning, or use the internet, use technology to really help you. But what I want you to do is you're using your day 4 of your goal setting, and now you're actually starting to take action on that 5th day. And all of the steps, all these days that I'm getting you to do, they all kind of build up, okay? So you're acknowledging your feelings on day 1. Number 2 is self-care. You're nurturing yourself. Day 3 is you're voicing and expressing gratitude. Day 4 is you're starting to goal set. And day 5 is you're starting to take action on that. One of the biggest themes when I've worked with clients who have had COVID and now have to quarantine is they feel powerless. Okay, they feel powerless, and because they feel powerless, they certainly feel isolated. They feel like they have no control, and so anxiety tends to go up a lot. And so this 5-day program, it gives the power back to you. These are things that you can control, that are all really good for you, that are all super healthy. And so by the end of your 5-day quarantine, you have a little roadmap of not only with what you've done the last 5 days, but now with what you can do for the entire year. You've kind of mapped out what some of those goals are for yourself. And so now quarantine, when you think back to your quarantine experience, you're like, you know what, I used that time well. So now I have a roadmap. I'm feeling more confident, better about myself, to kind of go back in the everyday land. So I hope you find this really helpful. Be sure to share this with people. A lot of people are experiencing this. You are not alone, and we want to make sure that although we cannot control obviously getting COVID and being forced to kind of be in quarantine, we certainly can control how we respond during that season, and that is what this video is about.